All right, Shalom, Shalom. By Yafia Allah. It's Akakabashe now with WFI Detroit. Coming at you with yet another live video. First and foremost, I want to give a call. Lam Yahweh. Shema Mashiach, Malak Yahweh Shah. Right, that's all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world were ignorantly called Jesus the Christ, the anointed Savior of Yasha Allah, the Princess of the Power, you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Shalom, Shalom. Right, in today's lesson, hey, we're going into the Hebrew, man. We're going into the Hebrew, and we go get to it, man. Or we go get to it. I want to kick it off with a quick precept, right? Couple of quick precepts, right? I want to get out of the book of 2 Kings, first and foremost, right? I want to get the book of 2 Kings, or actually, let me pull this blue letter up, right? Let me pull this blue letter up. Let's get right to it, man. I want to get the book of 2 Kings, 18, verse 27, or verse 28, right? It says, Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language and spake, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Right? Notice it says the Jews' language, because let the so-called white man tell it, and we couldn't read or write, huh? No, we just didn't understand English, right? We spoke our own language, right? We're a nation of people, right? We have a nationality, and I want to look that up real quick, right? The definition of a nation, right? It's a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language, right? Inhabiting a particular country or territory, right? So we have a language, we have culture, we have history, we have a ancient descent. We come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Our history is found in the Bible. We have a culture, the last statutes and commandments, right? We have a language, right? The Hebrew is our language. That's our language, right? We go dive into it a little bit more, man. A couple precepts, right? It's the book of Acts, chapter 22 and verse 1. Men, brethren, and fathers, hear ye my defense, which I make now unto you. And when they heard that he spake in the Hebrew tongue unto them, they kept the more silence, and he saith, right? So Paul was speaking in Hebrew, man. And Yahweh Shai was speaking in Hebrew, right? I believe that's Acts 26, right? Yahweh Shai Mashiach spoke the Hebrew, man, right? Slaki. What's that precept? Right? I want to find that precept, right, where it actually shows you how Shah is speaking in Hebrew, right? That's Acts. Right, bear with me. Right? Acts 26, like the book of Acts, chapter 26, right, in verse number 14, right? And this is actually red letter. It says, And when we were fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me and saying in the Hebrew tongue. Now, this is an account where Paul seen an angelic being, and this angelic being was actually speaking in the Hebrew, right? Actually, let's start up in verse 13. It says, At noonday, O king, I saw in the way a light from heaven above the brightness of the sun, shining round about me and them which journey with me. Right? So they all seen this great light coming out of the third heaven. And when we were fallen to the earth, and we were all fallen to the earth, I heard a voice speaking unto me, saying in the Hebrew tongue, Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me? It is hard for thee to kick against the pricks. I said, Who art thou, Lord? And he said, I am Yahweh Shai, whom thou persecutest. So Yahweh Shai spoke the Hebrew, man. Right? All throughout the Bible, you got our forefathers speaking the Hebrew, man. Right? Let me get open up a Bible, right? The first Maccabees. Right, I believe I want a second. I want first Maccabees, I believe. right?
Here's what I found.
Right. The hell. Right. First Maccabees. Right. Bear with me. The book of First Maccabees, Slocky. Right. Right. Bear with me. Let's see if I can find this precept. Okay, so yeah, Second Maccabees. Right. Second Maccabees chapter 15. And right. Bear with me. Verse number 28. Right. Second Maccabees chapter 15 and 28. It says, now when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness. Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language, man. Hey, so we have our own language, the Jews' language, the Hebrew, right? Quick history on Hebrew, right? That name is actually named after our forefather. The first person ever called a Hebrew was Abraham, right? Genesis chapter 14 verse 13. And there came out one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre, and the Amorite, brother of Eshcol and brother of Abner, and they were confederate with Abram. Right, so our people weren't just nomads with no kind of name. And these men were mighty men, so they knew Abraham the Hebrew. They knew the lineage he came from. And that's actually acknowledging his lineage by calling him a Hebrew, right? Because we go check out the blue letter, right? When you go into this word Hebrew, right, it actually is going into an Eberite, right? So it's a descendant of Eber. That's one of our forefathers, right? And I want to get this Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10, right? Verse number 25, right? This is going into the sons of Shem. It says, and unto Eber were born two sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Now, when was the earth divided? Right? Because you had men, right? They came to Mount Ararat, and then they left and expanded, and they eventually left and went to try to build the Tower of Babel. And from there, the Lord divided man. Because by this time, you had a few generations on the earth. So, everybody had enough to do their own thing. So the Lord divided man from there, right? The Lord divided man from there, right? Through the Spirit. All right. And I bring this out to say that the people of Eber, the Hebrews, they carried that name and that language. And that's how this thing went, man. All right. So they carried that name and that language, and that's where you get Eber from. But prior to this separation, to the days of Peleg, because his name literally, right, it means divide, right? Let's get it real quick, right? Peleg actually means division, right? It actually means division. Right? He's the son of Shem, right? So prior to his time period, everybody actually spoke the same language, but it didn't have a name because everybody spoke the language. But whoever that chosen line of people that come from Shem that the Lord was dealing with, they carried that name based on their forefather Eber. All right, and that's why Abraham was called the Hebrew. That's why they carried that language. But this is Genesis 11:1, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Right, so the whole earth spoke Hebrew. And we know it's Hebrew because Yahweh Shah speaking Hebrew, right, from the third heaven. All right, so the Hebrew is our language, man. Right, and we go get into this thing, man. Shalom, everybody on the comment board. So we go get into this thing. We go get into the Hebrew. Right, so first I want to pull it up. Show you scholars, they actually call it the Phoenician alphabet. Right, when you check out the Phoenician alphabet, It looks a lot like the Paleo Hebrew, right, for the most part. So this is the so-called Phoenician alphabet, right? And this is actually the Hebrew. And I want to see if I can, kind of do a side by side through the spirit. Let's see if I can pull up Paleo Hebrew alphabet, right? So the Paleo Hebrew side by side is literally the Phoenician alphabet. It's literally the exact same thing, right? So the Phoenician alphabet, the Paleo Hebrew alphabet, all going into the same thing, right? 22 characters, right? So this here, right, going into the alphabet is A, right? And you got Ba, right? And it actually gives you the meaning because this is Ba, like a tent. Like if you turn it a certain way, it actually look like a tent, right? That's the head of a cattle, right? Kind of like, an ox, right? If you turn it a certain way. You got Ga, right? A camel's hump. You got Da, it's like a door. You got Ha, you got Wa, you got Za, right? Now the Y kind of reminds me of a Y. That's how I memorize it. The Y kind of looks like a Y. The Za, right, kind of looks like a Z. You got Kha, right? You got Ta, right, which is just a wheel, right? And you got Ya, you got Ka, you got La, you got Ma, you got Na, right? So this Ma, right, reminds me of an M, right? The La looks like a La, the Ka looks like a K to me, right? Which is really just the palm of a hand, because your hand, it got to, how a palm looks, right? And this is really a weapon, right? And you got water, then you got Na, meaning fish, right? And then you got Sa, right? You got I, you got Pa, right? Then you got Taza, you got Kwa, you got Ra, you got Sha, then you got Tha, right? So those basic form, that basic language is just that simple, man. Right? Aba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Kha, Ta, Za, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, A, Pa, Taza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, Ta. All right. So that's that. That's the Paleo Hebrew. Now, I actually had a lesson prior on the old Coca's channel how I taught myself the language. What you would do is you would test yourself, right? You pretty much, if I can find a piece of paper, right? So front and back. Bear with me, right? To easily remember this thing, I would kind of, just test myself. I would write out the alphabet and say it out loud as I'm writing, like A, Ba, Ga, Da. And once it's time to test myself, I'm gonna do a quick version of it. Right. So I number all the way down to 22. And I create, like a forgot what they call it. Like the thing you used to have in school where they have all the answers in the box. I'll show you the example. Let me just kind of throw something in here. Zabra, Shada, whatever the case may be. And I put Ha, Da, Na, etc., etc. So just to show what I would do to memorize it through the spirit, right? If you can see this, I would basically, again, and I do each of these things 3 times. So I, write it out and say, God, God, as I'm writing it and say it out loud. And I would write it out 3 times. And I literally memorize Hebrew in a day doing this. It might take whatever the case may be, but you just write it I by God the whole time, did it 3 times. Then I tested myself by doing this. I would write, randomize the I by God nah nah or I by God da why hi. I would just write that, and then I will have this here, and I reverse it. So I do this test 3 times, then I will reverse it, and now it's just the letters here. It'll just be the letters here. I write out all the letters randomly, and then it'll be the ha by God up here, and then I would do that 3 times, and then from there I wouldn't have, like the brother says, called a legend. Then I wouldn't have the legend, and I do the test where ha God die all the way down, and I write the letter. And I do another test where it's just the letters, and I gotta guess that, and just constantly did that over and over again. You will get it. So that's how I tested myself on learning the alphabet. Now I'm not sure if this website is still out there, but let me see. TheRealHebrewIsraelites.com. Oh, TheRealHebrewIsraelites.com. It was a website. I don't know, brothers must have took it down. That pretty much on the website. It's like pretty much on the website. It had these pronunciations because it's a photo-synatic language, so certain terms didn't even exist, right? So that's why it's ah, ba, ga, na. It's a very basic language. The E sounds and those different sounds actually didn't exist at the time, right? And you can further prove the Hebrew by looking at artifacts, right? Let's look at the Moabite stone, Yahweh. Let's look at the Moabite stone, Yahweh. See if I can kind of pull this up. If you check out the Moabite stone, you see it's actually written in Hebrew, right? This is the Moabite stone written in the Hebrew, right? It's lucky this thing. Bear with me. But yeah, so this thing was written in the Hebrew. Like you even see Yahweh right here. It's Yah-ha-wah-ha, Yahweh on the Moabite stone, right? So many different artifacts will have the actual Paleo Hebrew, right? I believe the lay has it as well, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Michel Stele has the Paleo Hebrew. You can see Cha, Na, Pa, Ra. You can see the different. I see Ma, La, Ka, like different Hebrew letters. The Qua right there, Ra. Like different Hebrew letters you can see, man, in this thing. Right? It's like, bear with me. Try to get this thing to chill out real quick. Okay. I'm gonna let it stop now. No. All right, bear with me. Not sure if it's gonna pop back up, but whatever. All right. So again, that's like I said, certain artifacts got it, man. The Michel Stele, the Moabite stone, and things of that nature. So I can bear with me. I'm trying to get this thing to chill out, man. But all the hell keep breaking loose, keep popping up. Apple, man. Probably gotta deal with it. All right. Cool. So now I want to get into the pronouns, right? So you can be formulating sentences with this language, right? So, let's go back to 3rd grade. You need a pronoun verb for a sentence. So let's look up what a pronoun is, man. A pronoun is a word that can function by itself as a noun phrase, and that refers either to participants in the discourse or to someone or something mentioned elsewhere in the discourse. Right. So we're dealing with the nouns. I should call it nouns and pronouns, actually. Right. I'm gonna rename it. I want to deal with the nouns and the pronouns. Can't skip the nouns. All right, so we got to dive into the nouns and pronouns, and we know a noun is a person, place, or thing. So a pronoun would be something like we or our, right, or it, referring to a person, place, or thing within the discourse. So I'm gonna pull up a blank sheet here. I have a couple of test words. And that's how we gonna deal with it. All right, so I can bear with me. All right, cool. So you can see the screen. Right. So let me get the okay. So here's some pronouns here or some nouns here. So you got a ta. Now you hear a lot of brothers that say barakatah or barakatam. The ta is just you in the Hebrew, but that thumb is plural, right? So basically y'all, right? It's like in the anya, right? It's like I think it's kind of backwards. The anya will be I, and the atan, right? It's a feminine way of saying y'all. So if you're talking to a group of women, it'd be atan. If it's a group of men or anybody, because it's dominantly male or masculine, then it'd be a thumb. Like if you're talking to a mass multitude, men, women, and children, it's a thumb. But if it's just women, it's a thon. If it's one person, a tha. If it's me or I, it's anya. This is the words for a, ta, ha, tha, a, na, ha, anya, a, tan, a, ta, ma, thumb. Right? You see that? So that's how that goes. Right, and I want to continue on here. Right, and you got more here. You got ha, ya, ah, ha, ya, ah. Right, and that is right. This is kind of backwards. That's it. That's she. Right, ha, ya, ah is she. How no, how wa ah is she. Ha, ya, ah is it. Ah, knock, now wa would be us, and ham is them, masculine, right? So ha, wa, ah has she, right? And the y is usually feminine. You might notice that pattern. And the ha, ya, ah is it, pretty much it or he. And the ah, knock, nawa is plural. It's y'all, it's us, or and then the ham is them. Or the Agnawa was we, Salaki. So yeah, that's it on that. And now we can get to these pronouns. So a pronoun in the Hebrew is attached to the end of the word, and I can actually display this using the Bible blue letter. What's an example? his brother, right? Genesis. See if I can get this. Right. So Genesis 4. So we're gonna go to Hebrew Old Testament.com. Then we go to what's that? 4 and 2. Genesis chapter 4 and verse 2. See if this is what I want. I gotta find another example. I'll find something. Give me a second. 4, okay. 4 and 8. See if that's it. Just so I can get an actual live example while I'm breaking it down. Okay, perfect. This is perfect right here. Okay, so let's pull this up because the Hebrew word for brother is ak. Hebrew word for brother is ak, which is really akha. But when you're dealing with Hebrew, they always cut off that last bit, so it's ak, right? 2 Hebrew letters. Now, this is it here, ak, right? Now, when you check it out, it says, and Cain said to his brother. When you add that Y at the end, that would make it a he, if I'm not mistaken. So I can bear with me. Make sure there's a good example of this thing. Or like his, for lack of a better term. So that Y would be his brother. Right? So that's ak Y. Right? Right there. So that's his brother. All right. That Y at the end. Now I want to find another example. So you can see that it does change. And it's at the suffix. See him kind of. All right. So Genesis. Genesis. See if that's right. See if I can pull that. Genesis 42 and 16. All right, let's get Genesis 42, verse number 16. Nah. Okay, let's see if I can find it somewhere else. Because what word is that for brother? Regular og, but it's weird. It's die at the end, it looks like. So that's looking for 43 and 3. See if that's it. Because a lot of times you got past tense and that can throw it off as well. So, you know, that's a lesson for another day. I'm just trying to, you know, get a straightforward ak here. Stuff is past tense. We can go through these and kind of visit it a little more. Recap. All right, so 3. I hope this is a simple one. I mean, so I mean, okay, so this is still a good one. So the word ak is right here. So and it's ak kam. Now, ak kam is the plural way of saying your brother in the masculine form. And this is, you know, Judah, talking. This is him talking with his father. So he's saying you got to bring your brother back. But he's I don't want to see you except you bring your brother back. But he's a brother of multiple. So that's why I'm saying it like that. It was Ak come, right? I want to show you that's what we got here, right? Salaki. Right, come is basically y'all masculine. So that's like y'all brother. So ka would be your brother singular, right? Like if I'm talking to two people and I say akam, right? I'm saying y'all brother. Right. So that's just, I just wanted to show those examples before I dive into this here. So, you know, simple enough. You got me / my. It's ya at the end of the word. And this is all suffixes for these pronouns. When it's them there, right? What is your? It's ka at the end. It's y'all in the masculine form. It's come. It's y'all in the feminine form. Con at the end. Right, when it's his, it's why. Her is ha, all at the end of the sentence. I believe that there and there, that's ham. I wanna say, right? Spirit, so the ha, yeah, ha, yeah, the ha is our. I mean, it's her, and you got Nawa. Of course, I forgot Nawa. Right, I forgot Nawa. Right, Nawa at the end is our. Like when we say the Lord's Prayer, you say Abanawa. That's our Father. Shabbat, Shemayim, um, which in heaven. Right, our is Nawa. I want to get them plural. Right. Well, that's something else. Okay, my and nah, that's what it is. My and nah. Feminine. Right. So, Lord willing, you taking notes, screenshotting, whatever you got to do. Right. Because that's the, Hebrew pronouns. That's kind of. You would place it at the end of the word. I showed you how it said ak come, because he was saying, hey, you can't come back with y'all brother. So, simple enough. Just like when we say, like, here it is, perfect example, salak. That means forgive, right? What do you always hear brothers say on the highways and byways? Salakia, right? That's forgive me. But what if I want to say forgive her? What if I want to say forgive her? What would I say if I wanted to say forgive her? Right? Somebody put it in the chat, Lord willing. We give it a couple of seconds. If nobody participated, it's all good. But if I wanted to say forgive her, what would I say? Salak. Right? If I wanted to say forgive her, what would I say? Salak. See if anybody can kind of figure it out. Right? So salak is forgive. To say forgive me is salak yah. But to say forgive her is salak. Nobody go dive in there. I'm going to go ahead and dive in there. Right? Salak ha. Right? That's a forgive her, man. Right? See that? That's why in the Lord's Prayer you say Wa Salak Nawa. You say Wa Salak Nawa. What's that? And forgive us. Or it's like and forgive our for us, like and forgive us or forgive our our trespasses, whatever the case may be. Right. So it's really pretty much that simple. So I'm gonna do ak, right? And of course, when you add a yum, that's plural. Y-A-M, ya, ma, yum. And wath makes it feminine. Like if I say akwaf, that's sister or sisters. It's not akwaf yum, but it's akwaf, right? Contrary to popular belief. Right, so it's akwaf. But brother is ak. So if I'm like, hey, that's his brother, right? It's akwa, right? That's his brother. It's his brother. I say ak ma, hey, that's they brother. I ain't gonna do that. If I say ak nawa, right? Hey, that's our brother. He's our brother. If I say ak, it's like if I say ak, think of one. Um, yeah, if I say akka, hey, that's your brother, man. So you can, once you figure out the noun, that's how you make the pronoun or a possessive pronoun with these words here, man. Right? You say aknawa, that's our brother. Ak is brother. Akwa is his brother. Akkad is your brother. Things like that, like vehicle or or chariot, right? This means chariot or vehicle, right? If I say my rakab, my that's their car, right? That's their chariot, man. They be like Marak Top car, like Marak Top my, right? It's not their car. I mean my car, it's their car, right? It's not my car, but it's his car. Marak Top my, his car. It's really that simple. Same way I did the quiz before. That's how I quiz myself on these, and through the spirit. So once you start learning this and the pronouns and the past tense, and start learning verbs and nouns, now you form sentences. You can say go to the car, right? Go is go is call, to is lie, ha is the, ka. Go to the car. Switch it up. Go to your car. Go to their car. Talking about two sisters. Akabna. Right. So that's basically how pronouns work. It's really a simple language. So with this understanding here, right, and like I went through the Hebrew, right, the actual Hebrew, right, I went through the actual Hebrew and Slack it. I didn't delete the app on the Hebrew Old Testament. You've seen examples of it. We'll pull up a couple more. I think I got it on Chrome. Right, so I want to get a couple more examples. Let's go to our Father. Let's go to our Father. Our Father is old. Let's see if we can pull this up. Right, Genesis 19. Right, so it should say Abba now. And that's good. I see somebody put it in the chat. They answered the question. Yep, Salak Ha through the Spirit. Somebody paying attention in this thing. Right, learn your language, man. Learn what's going on. All right, so let's see, because sometimes, like I said, the plural can throw it off sometimes. Yeah, here it is. Abba Yanawa. Abba Yanawa. Right? Abba Yanawa. Right there. You see the Nawa at the end. Abba Yanawa. It's plain, right? Our Father. Right? Abba Yanawa. Right? Abba Nawa, Abba Yanawa. Right? That's cool. What's another one? Let's see her son, right? And son is ban, so it should say ban. What's that? Ban ha, right? Ban ha. Let's get Genesis 27:6, right? And this is Hebrew Old Testament, right? You know, I'm not the most fluent person in Hebrew, so this is bear with me. But hey, you can learn, man. You might not know this. It's a book. I got it upstairs. It's a blue book written by a brother that teaches these things. You kind of learn it, but let's deal with it. So Rebecca, Jacob, right? Yaiquab, right? Allah. All right, so let's see where it says her son. Yeah, where's Yaiquab? Yeah. Where's Yaiquab at? Well, I see your brother right here, Akinawa. I see that right here. Your brother, Ahmad. Right. I actually see your brother right here as we speak. Right. The Akyana, or the Akyaka. But anyway, I want to find that her son. So like father, Abba. Oh, thy father right there. Abba. And that's Abba Yaka, right? That's thy father, right? Here's oh, here it is. This is my face the whole time. Ban ha. Right, Ban ha, right there. Ban is son, and then the ha at the end. It's her son. Right, so you'll be able to speak, because you can't speak sentences without knowing this. So, you can build yourself up to be able to speak fluent Hebrew, man. Right? So, definitely did the cross referencing for y'all, so you can see that, the thing that I was going into is true when you go into the actual Hebrew. That's literally how they say it. Because you'll see Ak, Ka, but you're like, why I say Ka and why I say, but it's because it's literally, going into the pronouns to make it a sentence. And this is what the translators was figuring out and doing through the spirit. Right. So, we got to kind of get in touch with our heritage, get in touch with our roots, get in touch with our history in this thing, because it's mighty through the spirit, man. Right. It's a mighty thing getting into our history, getting into our language, man. Right. Because we got to take this thing back, man. Right? Let me get this preset. We gotta take this thing back, man. Right? Understand who the hell we are, man. Right? We the Hebrew, so we gotta, kind of get in there with the Hebrew in this thing. Right? I didn't know the breakdown would be that long. I'll praise the Most High. Right? This is the book of Tobit, chapter 1. Salakia. Something I want specifically, right? The book of Tobit, chapter 1, and verse number 4. And when I was in my own country in the land of Israel. Hey, so our country is Israel, man. Our country is Israel in this thing, man. So we got to go back, learn everything. Because like I went into earlier, right? We a nation, right? We a nation. And, when you look up a nation definition, again, it's a large body of people united by common descent, history, culture, or language. So we want to get into our language in this thing too, man. So, Lord willing, through the spirit, I can continue on with, doing lessons like this. Going into the Hebrew and, the past tense and start forming sentences and, going through it like that. And, Israel can be edified through the spirit. So with that, I'm going to give a Kwam Yasha, right? Lord willing, he was edified in this thing, right? Shalom, shalom.